Hello and welcome to Soul Intent Podcast, the show that's for us, by us. I'm Joelah Noble. This is my amazing co-host, Coco, Mell, and we are joined today by the very lovely and talented Jess Lawrence. And Jess is here today to share her opinion about what's happening in the world right now, and specifically how it's impacting the creative industry. So join us for our chat as we discuss a few important topics we've come across this week. We've got our favorite segment called Cuss-A-Crep, also known as CAC. And also we're gonna shout out a few inspiring individuals in this week's episode. So let's go.
Thanks for having me, guys. Thanks so much.
Thank you for joining us. So geeked to kick things off with you as a guest numero one of many.
Amazing.
But yeah, we thought you were just perfect. I feel like you just encapsulate so many of us during this time, during Black female, you know, with your ties to obviously your social media stuff that you do personally and for work as well. And we love you. So frankly, and you're a boss Black female. So we stand united.
As we all are, exactly, as we all are. Thank you so much. Yeah, I'm looking forward to getting into some good topics.
So first up, we're talking about brands and platforms over the last few weeks taking accountability or not for their support or not supporting the Black community. How are we feeling about that? Like, are we feeling like they're doing it just because it's the current thing on social media? Jess, I'll start with you.
I think undoubtedly people are jumping on the bandwagon now because of this whole accountability thing. Social media, people calling people out with these hashtag challenges, with actually putting the pressure on the brands to kind of really, really look into themselves and then have to sort of claim it outwards. I think it's a very unique position that we're in right now with social media, because everyone sort of has the tools at their fingertips just to be that activist and be the person that does call out the brand. So I think it could be the thing that really stands this movement, particularly in 2020, out from the rest. I know we kind of sort of have been touching on, everyone's sort of been touching on the sort of morality behind it. Like, is it a good thing that people are only doing it because they're getting called out? I have mixed feelings about that, to be honest. I think if you'd asked me a year ago, I would have said, like, they're doing it for the wrong reasons. I don't want their support. I don't want them to be doing all that for the absolute wrong reasons and not actually because they care about the elevation and amplification of Black voices. But now it's got to such a dire time, like it's in 2020 and we're still having to fight for this. I'm like, I don't really care now. As long as it happens, it happens. I just want
anything we can get, any way we can get it almost.
Exactly. Like we can use social media for our benefit. We can get these conversations happening. We can call out these brands. We can kind of work on the toxic behavior they have and actually cause some change, even if they don't feel it in their DNA. Do you know what I mean?
I agree with you. I think a year ago I would have been like, I don't want your support if you don't truly mean it. I guess if they're just jumping on it just because right now it's a trend, then that will be quite evident in terms of their future action. So I'm really just waiting to see what's really going to happen. You know, there's a difference between a fad and a trend, right? A fad is something that just comes and goes super, super quickly. We don't want that for this movement. A trend is a change in direction.
Yeah.
So I'm actually okay with this Black Lives Matter movement and, you know, this heightened knowledge of the things that we've been through and where we want to go, that being a trend, because that means that a change is coming, you know? Yeah. So if it is a thing where they're doing it because now they're getting exposed, that's fine with me. I don't know if you guys saw this on social media, but Uncle Ben's and Aunt Jemima.
Thank
you. I've got them downstairs as well.
Don't we all?
Yeah.
Don't we all have them downstairs? Like me growing up in Brooklyn, it was a thing where we're going to buy Uncle Ben's because there's a Black man on front of Uncle Ben's. We're gonna buy Aunt Jemima because it's a Black woman in front, without really understanding the history behind it. Yeah. So after doing a little bit of research about that as well, I realized, okay, so the people behind these brands don't actually look Yeah, they don't look like the faces in front, but they're selling this stuff to us. And also, even the titles, Uncle Ben and Aunt Jemima.
It's cultural to us more so.
Yeah, that's cultural.
Of the Black experience yet again.
100%. But it's also, back in the day, was used by white Southerners to address older Black men and women because they refused to call them Mr. and Mrs.
Or their names, like, at that,
It's wild. So now they're changing their imagery, which they should, but that still doesn't take away from them. Most probably, I mean, how could they not be aware of the history of their own brand and why they have these Black faces on their brand? It's something they really should have changed a long time ago. And now I'm not going to be buying Uncle Ben's or Aunt Jemima's. I'm going to have to make my pancakes from scratch now, guys.
well, we start a pancake business, guys. We just do it.
I love a pancake.
Let's do it.
But what about, not being devil's advocate, but what about Aunt Bessie? Because Aunt Bessie's not Black. She's a white woman doing her little cake mix. So I'm just saying, like, I get it, but then also, if you're not going to buy Uncle Ben's or Aunt Jemima, then you probably shouldn't buy Super Mell or Dunn's River ever again and brands like that, because they're also headed up by non-minority, like, middle class white people in their 40s. Like, all the companies that we love and that kind of, I suppose, encapsulate our culture aren't even at our hands, under our control or at our hands, at our command. We don't really have much to facilitate. We just buy, keep them in business, and then they can keep churning out all the products that we love, but at what cost?
I think it's very interesting that we're like, everyone is focusing on, say, the logo, the picture, but I'd actually really like to know about their internal culture inside these businesses as well. I think that would be even more telling. And again, with what we were saying about like choosing now to do it, like, Black people have been shouting about this for so long. I almost find it quite patronizing that it takes a movement in 2020 for people to actually retract what they've been doing. I've actually tried to stop thinking like that, because otherwise, like, we just can't enjoy anything anymore. So from now on, what I'm kind of thinking is, okay, right, we've learned now, this is unacceptable. Everyone knows there's no excuse. What are you going to do now?
They're jumping on the bandwagon now simply out of the pure fact of fear. They're fearful that we're going to cancel them. They're going to be, cancelled culture is forever a thing still nowadays. They're scared that we're going to boycott them. We're not going to be shopping with them anymore. I think they're scared of the retaliation that we're going to have towards these brands. So they're putting out these statements now, and they're doing these pledges and these donations and stuff. But I said, where's the longevity of it? Do you know what I mean? It's all good for doing it in the moment, but when, George Floyd just becomes a distant memory months from now, unfortunately, are you still going to have the same energy? Do you know what I mean? The education you're doing, the books you're reading, you can be reading them in 10 months' time, a year's time. Do you mean, like, how are things going to keep circulating? So I think they feel the pressure simply because I think now they maybe feel like they have a knee on their neck, metaphorically, and they have to do it for the simple fact of, shit, I can't breathe, or we can't breathe. It's shit, we can't survive, we can't make money. Do you mean we can't have a future in our industries if we don't do X, Y, and Z? So it is, to a good degree, for me personally, performative. But as you said, Jess, like, sometimes at this stage, we'll take whatever we can get. If it means, like, long-term, like, permanent change, then, like, let's take it.
Yeah, and I do trust people, and I do trust, like, us within this movement and really pushing it. Will not forget about it. So if these brands don't keep up with this and kind of make these long-lasting changes, then we're just going to call it out and keep going till they do. All I can hope now is that in these times, businesses employ the right people, they actually have the conversations, they do training with their staff and educate themselves, so that this becomes so ingrained in their work culture that there is no going back. I think just to donate some money and, like, do these social media posts, that's flippant. But if you're actually behind the scenes investing in Black and brown people to come into your workplace and actually, I don't want to use the word diversify, but I'm going to say it here, like, diversify your workplace to have representation that actually people can say, that's not okay for me, that's not okay for me, how can we navigate this? Those changes won't happen unless those people are there. So I'm just hoping that public pressure equates to hiring, firing, and all that good stuff that comes from that, to be honest. It's the only way you can speak for people, is by having someone who looks like those people at the table.
Yeah, facts.
And not just one. Not just one.
Yeah, 100%. One black person can't speak for the whole of black people. You know, we all have different experiences as well. And I think we're at a real unique time right now with the COVID stuff, and where we have to isolate and quarantine and all of that, where we have no choice but to pay attention to this stuff. And I think that's why this particular movement with George Floyd, I think that's why it's taken off how it's taken off. And I mean, it's weird to say, but I'm grateful for the time that we've had to really do research on who owns these brands, really come together and work out, like, how do we move forward? And I agree with you, Jess, that, you know, I trust that there are people such as ourselves who are going to continue to push this movement forward and keep our knees on the necks of those oppressors.
Metaphorically for now, but soon to be physically if they don't sort out. The anger I've got is ridiculous.
I know, it's so real. It's so real. So how do we want to see the change, like, you know, moving forward?
For me personally, it's about remaining present, remaining aware, understanding that this thing isn't just going to change overnight or even within a few months. This is a system that really is designed to keep us down and to make it harder for us to do better in life, quite frankly. So there's so many different aspects of racism that we need to uncover and battle with, but it starts with education.
Exactly. And I think that's why all this movement to actually get this, like, colonization and all these things actually taught in schools will be a really, really good step for the next generation. Grayson Perry, don't know if you guys know him, but he so basically he said about gender, but I think it's quite transferable here, that it takes like 10 years in culture for something to change. And I think now this movement, if it has which obviously it will, because we will fight for it, in 10 years time will be a real test to see, like, what the kids growing up are taught and the qualities that they embody that they're taught in school and society. Like, we really now have the power to change that, and we should. I also think, I don't know about you guys, but a lot of people have kind of said to me, especially a lot of white people have said that they actually had no idea that this was so bad. I think racism has taken a completely new form that people haven't realised. It's no longer being shouted out on the street, or unfortunately, like some of the brutality that we do see, it's not so widespread as it, say, used to be maybe 60, 70 years ago, but it's just taken new forms. It's now in work culture, it's now in medical, it's now in all these other factors. And a lot of people have said to me that they literally had no idea, and they've almost been sort of forced awake to the realities of the situation. And I don't think there is any coming back from that, because once you know, you know. So that's why I think actually the education will help, because I don't know, I know from my circles anyway, my friends definitely are shocked, and so shocked that they are doing what they can in their workplaces, in their families, in their social groups, etc. So I feel positive about that.
Yeah. To be fair, like, I think for me, I think it's almost like I've had somewhat similar conversations with people, and obviously some of, I suppose, my white friends have taken offense if I've asked them something or I've said something, which to me, obviously, I didn't necessarily expect the whole defensive thing. I thought there's enough stuff going around that, you know, don't be the victim. Do you know what I mean? When you're just simply asked a question. But that's happened to me, and I feel like as a result, I feel like I'm losing friends because of it. Do you know what I mean? Because I'm not maybe telling them what they want to hear, or I'm challenging them in areas that they don't feel comfortable in. It's then being received as I'm attacking them, which I'm not. But for me, if you can't stand in the truth as what it is, then for me, then it's just like some people still aren't comfortable. You're putting on your gram, you know, hashtag and all this stuff, but then when you're actually was put in your lap, you're like, oh wait, I don't know what's happening. I think that's crazy. Like, for me, I can hear people say, I don't see color. You have to see color. You cannot not see color. Like, don't, like, that whole, oh, that race is burning my body. Like, I've heard a lot of those kind of like formulated sentences, and people are like, what does that mean? And if you don't see it, then, well,
you're ignoring the reality of our situation, and that is inherently racist, because you're choosing to look away because it doesn't affect you.
Right.
So,
in turn, when I'm getting mistreated, you sat there because you didn't see colours, you didn't think anything was wrong, was the way I've been treated. Like, no, everyone has that awareness at the age that we are living in to know wrong from right. You're going to see colour, you have to see colour. It's just what it is. Can't see colour, then there's a problem medically. but to say it and to kind of like let that be a justification as to why you're not racist, that's not it.
Yeah,
I'm legally blind.
Yeah. It's like literally.
But I don't think any people that I know are racist. I would never say that anyone is racist, because then if they are, then that's a reflection of the kind of person that I am, then clearly. So for me, no one's racist, but the fact that you're, as you said, like kind of just sitting down and just letting it happen, that to me is like as being as bad as the said racist. Do you know what I mean? So
yeah. Joining it's like joining the oppressor, isn't it? You're either against the machine or you're part of it. So if you're not fighting against it because it doesn't affect you, then you are just as bad. Like there's no escaping that anymore. Like we're learning about systemic racism and anti-racism, and the whole movement is focused on that. Like racism is not just, oh, I don't see color anymore. Racism is actually not doing anything to make the situation better for people lower down.
And also understanding the microaggressions that come with racism. Like people need to understand that racism isn't just shouting the N-word to someone and telling them to go back to their country. It's so much more insidious than that as well. So really just educating yourself to that. But Coco, I was really interested in what questions or examples of questions that you would ask your friends that they would take offense to.
I think it's like the lack of interaction for me personally. Like I'm the kind of friend, like I will give you all of me. Like I'm one of those people, I give it all, and I feel like I'm now having to realize that I don't necessarily get the same in return from my friends. I almost have to accept that I'm not going to get that back. So rather than me kind of hoping for it and whatever, this whole experience has really made me realize that shit, I actually don't have it in the areas that I thought I had. I had it when I was in front of them, working with them, but now we no longer work together. It's almost like out of sight, out of mind. And for me, that's not who I am as a person. Like if I'm for you, I'm for you 365, 24/7, no matter if I can see you in front of me or I can't see you. So the questions that I kind of had were just little things like, you know, I would see a bit of interaction on my stories, like they watch my stories and then they'd come off mid story, like mid kind of Black Lives Matter story. And I'd be like, well, why coming off? Like, does it make you uncomfortable, or do you feel like it doesn't really, it's not compelling to you? And shit went left, like really left, like really left. So for me, I was a bit like, I'm not attacking you, I'm simply asking you a question. Did you switch off my gram because you didn't feel that it was interesting enough, it wasn't gripping enough? Like, what was it that made you come off? And I didn't think the response I was going to get was going to be that of like I'm offended, you've offended me, how dare. And I was a bit like, dude, that's not really the route I felt it needed to be taken, and or that wasn't the response I expected. I expected a simple shit, I'm so sorry, I didn't mean to come across like that, you know what I mean, like I'm sorry that you felt this way, you know, just not reassurance, but just letting me know I am here for you. Do you know what I mean? I might not have reached out initially, but anything you need, that I've got you. That's the kind of what I've expected, but I haven't really had any of that. And then when I have had it, it seems like you're only really doing it because I put something on my gram that says about performative allyship. So you're doing it because you feel like you're pressured into, not because you want to. And those kind of things. So I've had to kind of like really kind of think about my friendship group, and I'm now condensing it.
I think it's just the wrong people. This whole defensive nature, I just don't understand it. Like if in any situation, if someone's telling you like, okay, that's upset me, that's I want to know more, and your response to that is, oh, well, I'm upset, I'm going to push that away and not try and understand. How does that solve anything? Like the basis of communication, you just speak about it. She or he might have had a very valid point and could have just said it. You would have been very understanding and you would have talked it out, said how you both feel, and you move forward. That's how the world works, rather than sort of just taking it as a personal attack and pushing someone away. It doesn't make any sense.
This is the thing. So it's one of those ones, but I'm kind of glad that it's taken this situation, as unfortunate as it is, to kind of wake up and to kind of come out of this lockdown with like a whole refresh, like a refresh on everything, like internally, externally. Do you know what I mean? Like parameters, like everything for me is just kind of like, gone back to default settings, and I'm almost like starting again to like navigate, and I'm gonna have to learn again to how to socialize. Like things like we took for granted before is now going to be like learning to walk outside for longer than however long. Like, do you know what I mean? Like me having to go back to London is mind-boggling, and I'm like, I like being in the countryside.
That's what I'm a bit worried about in terms of this movement though, going back when everyone's got their distractions back. That's what I'm worried about. Like as long as lockdown's kind of still happening and people are at home, they're plugged in and they're motivated, they're asking the right questions, they're educating themselves. When we go back to work and socializing and the bars open. Like that's what I'm worried about, that time for like the average person, because right now it feels like a lot of people are coming out for us and they're actually committed to it. But yeah, we'll see, I guess, in terms of that.
I do feel like naturally it will dwindle down, but as long as we still keep moving and we remember, and like I said earlier, keep our foot or our knees on the neck, whatever, you know, you want to put on the neck, the elbow, whatever it is, then we can do that. And remember what we're here for. And it's what you were saying about your friend as well, Coco. You actually reminded me that it's exposed a lot of people, and for me, allowed me to see a difference in like how one of my mixed race friends, for instance, how he has kind of reacted to this and sees this. And I understand that that's probably, this whole situation has been really difficult for certain people who have a white parent and a black parent. I think he feels like he has to choose in a sense, even though that's really not the case. But, you know, if you feel like your white side is always being condemned, maybe you have to stick up for that white side. And that's just a bigger conversation that absolutely needs to happen. So Jess, I know that you're mixed race as well. So can you elaborate on any of your experiences throughout this time?
Yes, I think it's been a very interesting and emotional time. So my dad's black, African-American, grew up in South Carolina, extremely racist times. He gets it. He's very plugged into the internet, my dad. Like, he's very on it, ear to the ground. So he understands how the movement's sort of been developing over the past sort of decade. And he gets it. He gets all the terminology. He wants to learn more. Like if I say like microaggressions, he's like writing it down. He's educating himself.
Love that.
With the other side of my family, I've noticed a real, I'd say, denial for the fact that this is still happening, through want of it to be better, and to find it so uncomfortable to the point that it's so emotionally painful, is actually sidestepping over the work that needs to be done within themselves also. So this whole idea that we were saying earlier, like, I'm not racist, I just want everything to be better, it makes me feel uncomfortable, so I'm not going to dive into it, actually has become a problem. And I've had a lot of really, really heated arguments, to be honest, where people are just not getting it. And then I've even had but are you not proud of your white side debate? And I've thrown it back with do you not understand that I step outside in the world and everyone sees me as a black person? No, I don't walk anywhere and anyone sees me as a white person. I don't have straight hair, I don't have blue eyes. I grew up in Surrey thinking that I was just sort of, any way to not talk about it was sort of my defense mechanism. So I would draw attention away from it, because you're very aware as a child that you're different with any difference. But in the white side of my family, it's very much, well, you didn't get name called and you didn't have any attacks, so you're fine. Did we not do a good job for you? And it's, yes, you did in the time growing up in the 90s. It was more about assimilating. But now, in these times of in the past 10, 15 years, the movement and what we're trying to do has progressed so much that to be stuck back in that time is actually racist, I feel, because you're ignoring what we're saying and how it is. So there's been some really, really heated debates, and really, really a real push for some education that's beyond me, because I can't have these conversations anymore, because I find it very demoralizing when it comes to a family member who has blackness in their family, to not really dive in and take it as their responsibility to learn and do better.
But do you think that's a generational thing though? Because I feel like, you know, if you're, you know, not a minority and you're of a certain kind of age caliber, I feel like they're almost like they know it all, or like, oh, in my day X, Y, and Z, whereas people maybe a bit more close to our age will be a lot more receptive and open to having those conversations.
I completely think that, and that's why it's so confusing to be paired up with my dad as well, because obviously it's very different. My dad is black, but he is so with it and so into the whole idea that things progress and you need to educate yourself, that I'm finding, well, if he can do it, why can't you?
Yeah.
People at work who are your age are able to do it and are really taking it upon themselves to educate themselves and do better, then why can't you, when you have such close proximity to black people? But I'm not going to lie and say it's been easy. It's been very difficult. I've struggled with it a lot, to be honest, these past few months, because I just find it so disappointing. I think if you have Black children or Black cousins or Black family members or Black friends, the responsibility is there that you do the work and you learn what it's like to be them, and you make it better. You don't make it worse by being negative or trying to defend your point of view.
I think it goes back to my point about kind of people kind of taking accountability, or in this case not wanting to take accountability. And again, because it's not affecting them personally, it's around them. I can kind of stay unscathed if I kind of just dodge the conversation enough, or if I stop calling, or if I stop texting, then maybe that will avoid the elephant in the room.
Yeah, definitely. I just find it quite patronizing though. It's very patronizing, because I feel as a society we're getting so much used to and so much better at talking about issues. So if it's like with homophobia, we listen to people, well, in my circles anyway, we listen to people now, we understand where they're coming from, and we do better to support our gay and queer friends and family. Like, we do better. But for some reason, people have still got this blind spot, in my circles anyway, when it comes to race. They feel like they're not racist, therefore there's nothing to learn. I never felt the problems that they anticipated me having as a mixed race child in a white community. I didn't get called names, I didn't get bullied, I didn't get any of those things that they anticipated. But all their microaggressions and the lack of representation and wanting to bleach my hair and get my hair straightened and not wanting to have these features, what I don't understand why there's such a blind spot when it comes to that. Like, people feel like they've done their work because you're accepted, but acceptance is such a broad spectrum, and I feel like as a mixed race person in a white community, you're only really at the start of that acceptance.
At the end of the day, we're all people. If you really want to break it down, we all really started in Africa, like for real.
It's just like race is used as a tool to be able to elevate yourselves and put other people down. And the quicker we unlearn that, the better, to be honest.
Thank you so much for sharing that as well, Jess, because, you know, it's an insight that, we all need to hear, really. But do you think it's time for a piece of positivity?
Give me a sprinkle of positivity, please.
When I was thinking about what positive thing I can input into this conversation, really, honestly, throughout the last, 8 weeks or so, my uplifting thing that I've been indulging in has to be the TV series Insecure. It's a shame it's finished now. This season is done now, but that really is the thing that just gives me
held you together
and life, like every week on a Monday morning, because it comes out on a Sunday. I'll watch it and I catch up, and I highly recommend it. It follows the life of a group of friends living in Inglewood. It's a Black cast, and Inglewood. I haven't been watching any other shows other than this, because especially during this time, it's just highlighted like what's really shit and what has like really bad messages, like subliminal messages as well. I started watching Working Mums, and I realized, like, hold on, episode 2, where's the Black people? There are Black women not working mums. Like, what is this? Even they have their baby group thing. It's a group of women. Like, come on, you could at least put a Black woman in there.
Zero.
They haven't. It's ridiculous.
It's a conscious decision not to, because you have the information. We've been shouting about it for time. So the fact that you're not is a conscious decision, and it's offensive.
It doesn't fit their narrative. Simple as that.
What, real people?
Well, no, but most mothers can't afford to go to a baby group. You know, a lot of them are doing 2 jobs, and so realistically, so typically, we're not ever going to be part of that whole daycare kind of look, because it just doesn't fit in. Do you know what I mean? With us, allegedly.
You know what, Coco? There are women who are very successful and they're working mums who are also Black. That does exist. There are Black women. Like, I get what you're saying, but it's not everyday struggle.
That's not my view, people. To make that very clear, that's not what I think.
I'm talking about that show, but really I want to talk about this show. It stars Issa Rae. She writes it, and it's actually based off of another series called Awkward Black Girl that she done herself on YouTube, and you can still watch it now on YouTube.
What about you, Jess? Have you got any kind of anything that you've seen like positivity-wise floating around, or that, or even something maybe that's positive that you're, apart from insecure, that obviously that you're going to tap into when we kind of get out of lockdown?
This is hard for me. I feel like I'm not a really positive person, and I find the joy in a lot. But this past 2 weeks, I've struggled a bit, to be honest. I'm gonna say, I think just bringing it back to some of the stuff that we've spoken about, seeing some positive change within my workplace and seeing some people fight for real change, and I haven't had to be part of the conversation anymore. That they're doing it behind the scenes and they're getting things going off their own backs has been really uplifting for me, and almost like I can breathe. But in terms of something light, I think that we can see our friends again. That's what I've enjoyed, being socially distanced in the park, at least, like just being able to see my friends in real life, like not on through cameras. It's made me feel human again. I can't wait for the pubs to open. I didn't realize how much I love the pub. That is like, I didn't realize, but that is my thing, apparently. Lockdown's taught me. Really love the pub.
I love a pub. I don't really go to many pubs, but if I do go to a pub, if it has an outdoor garden,
beer garden is winning. Beer garden with like that overhead heater.
Summer, when like everyone's a few drinks in and everyone's kind of talking to each other, and I just love it.
Jess is getting withdrawal symptoms.
What about you, Coco?
Positivity this week, or I suppose the week just gone, would probably have to be discovering a new breadth of Black creatives, Black individuals, Black-owned businesses, Black platforms. Like, I've just loved kind of seeing it, and kind of, I suppose, like putting together a little like wish list of like places and people I want to connect with kind of toward the end of lockdown. Do you mean when we're finally out and about properly, or at least I am anyway. So that's kind of the goal. And just, you know, I suppose books as well. Like, I'm not that much of a reader, so I'm trying my best to kind of inject myself into that a little bit more. So yeah, I think just discovering kind of, Black individuals that should be shouted about and celebrated. I'm really kind of excited, and also excited to get back out there from a working standpoint. Hopefully I can start collaborating with these people. Like, do you mean if they're a super dope talent, like I want to get them in a brand campaign. Like, I want to be really utilizing my reach to kind of, I suppose, give, help bring different opportunities to them as well.
Yeah, you're right. Actually, I've discovered a lot more Black-owned brands, like clothing brands,
litty ones.
We love to shop.
Like, I've really made a conscious effort now to like make my feed less whitewashed. I didn't realize just like my explore page and all that on Instagram or even like Facebook or whatever was just so from the white gaze, and I didn't realize till this movement, and I've really cleared that out, and kind of wanting to hear from all different types of people now, especially Black people, obviously. And I think
how have you done that? Like, when you say like someone maybe who might be in the same boat as you want to kind of scope that out. Sorry, am I digging too deep? No, because I'm actually trying to think, like, how the hell can I change my explore? Like, is it what I'm searching or who I'm searching for? Is that how it works?
It's all of it. So I've muted a ton of people. I've blocked a ton of people. Like, I've always blocked celebrities because I don't really want them to appear in my explore anyway. But I've just gone the extra step of blocking a lot of people just so they don't appear. Nothing personal. I just don't want to see it. Commenting and liking on the types of posts that you want to see, connecting with people. I've been really mindful of my follower list, and just things like that. And now I'm starting to see
through that today at some point.
The algorithm really is watching you, so whatever you connect with, whatever you even look at, like say a bit longer or you hover over, it's taking that on board. So just being mindful of that, and that block tool is a wonder.
All right, so now it's time for my favorite segment of the show. It's called Cuss-A-Crep, or as I like to say, CAC. And today I'm featuring these horrendous pair of trainer things that's behind Coco, these Valentino Heroes Tribe sneakers. That's what they're called.
What a name.
There's just too much going on. Too much going on.
The shape is disgusting. First of all, it looks like a pair of Clarks, and like, you know, those Balenciaga sock trainers, they with
arenas
and some mad colors just popped into a blender and just all blended together, and this just came out.
It does look like a child's competition. It does look like you can make your own design. We'll bring it to life for you.
Yes,
like Neil Buchanan Art Attack vibes.
I think designer trainers are the worst trainers, in all honesty. I think they really have some ugly styles. I don't appreciate it.
To be fair,
Right.
I'm honestly not mad at it. Like, only thing I don't like about it is the sock upper, as in around the ankle. Because if you've got skinny ankles, you're not going to feel the sock. It's just going to look weird. So for the most part, if it wasn't a sock like ankle vibe, then I would definitely rock it. For
But
sure.
the colours, like that pattern orange, and then with like the green sock, and then
a bit of that.
lady pink.
Yeah, mate. I'm a Skittle. My would be Skittle vibe, so it's perfect.
Yeah, what you wear like works, like the colours coordinate and they offset each other. That just looks horrible.
But if you wear like an all white fit with like a orange crossbody, that's lit.
That's
no
what I was saying. You can rock it. You can rock it because it's you. You're a stylist. You're quirky. Like when you said that, the white outfit with the orange crossbody, I actually see the vision.
I refuse to even visualize it. Like I'm not even letting my mind go there. Like they're horrible.
It's fine. I'll do a Pinterest board just for you of like the outfits.
But just because you can make a good outfit out of something doesn't mean that the piece individually is a nice piece. And so I'm singling out this piece. And it's just ugly. It's just ugly, Coco. I think you like it because it's different, but it's just ugly.
So Jess, is this a rock or is this a drop for you?
Oh, it's a rock, obviously. Have you not heard what I've just been saying? Of course, is it a rock or a drop? Of course it's a drop. They are not the one, Coco. They ain't the one. I'm sorry.
All right, listen, 2v1. I can see how this is gonna. This guest episode. How these are gonna go from here on out. Right. So should we go on to my ones then?
Yeah.
Oh shoot! This is dead. Shit.
This is not even. What the fuck?
I was debating which colour. The pink one.
So weird. They're too small for me though. They've sent a 5. I'm a 7, but
that's rude. You know what? For me, I couldn't wholeheartedly decide if I all the way wanted to cuss them or if I was half in, half out. For the simple fact, Joelah, that would go with your hoodie right now, the one that Jess is holding, like tough.
Yeah.
But
I love Vans. Vans can do no wrong in my eyes. Like I've always loved Vans.
I'm a Vans lover. Obviously old school and obviously the authentics I'm here for. But I think for me, it was only really like the colorway. I love the one you've got. The one I think next to the one you've got. The black, I was like, nah, but it's the one in the middle that I don't favor, and that's why. That like kind of like citrusy
I like
thing.
That. That's ice cream.
Yeah, no, I'm not all the way there. And also as well, I didn't know what kind of quality the sole would be, the sole unit. So is it printed on? They've done it. It's like a wrap, like a heat wrap on, or could it be?
I do not know what that would look like, to be honest.
Is it like fabric that's going around?
No, it's on the gum.
Material.
That for me, my question is the quality. That's why I was potentially going to cuss it.
It's good quality. I personally would have made that sole white.
That's what I mean. Yeah. Just white it, because you've already got the white in the Vans logo. See, that's live.
Yeah.
That's live.
I really like it, honestly, and I like that the sole's not white. I like that it's one whole thing. Yeah, I like all the colorways, to be honest. I think my favorite one might be that second one next to your one on Coco's picture.
Oh yeah,
the one black and
yeah,
that one is. I think that's my favorite one, but I actually really quite like them. I think for all the reasons that you, Coco, liked those other ugly ones that I just showed, those Valentino ones, is why I like this. Like the colors are really nice.
But that being said, I would definitely still rock a pair because I love color and I love print. But for me, the quality was what I was questioning. That's why I was side-eyeing it a bit. But if Jess has co-signed it, then Vans.
Yeah. I think the quality is good.
Feel free.
Yeah. And you know what? I'm sorry, Jess, but I have to disagree with you when you say that Vans could do no wrong, because on an earlier episode of Soul Intent podcast for our CAC segment, I don't know if you've seen the collaboration that they done with National Geographic.
Oh no, I haven't seen it.
Yeah.
Well, you need to see that and then reevaluate it, because it was so unimaginative.
Some of them I quite like. The blue one with like the sea. I really like
that. No, that one is the best one.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't mind
the one with the magazine.
I didn't mind that one.
Yeah, no, the magazine one is trash. Like,
and then there's one with just like the National Geographic logo on the side. Yeah, like you could do so much. We were working with animals here. We could do so much. It's so unimaginative.
I'm saying, just if you compared it to like what Nike did with the Ben & Jerry's collab, do you mean like they used like the little kind of the cow logo and they did a whole freaking shoe? and then
Yeah,
National Geographic just do print, and it just looks weak. So
yeah, no, I can agree with you on that one. Some of them are trash, but I really like the blue one. The blue one's really nice with like the sea. I think that is nice.
That's the best one. That's the best one.
So my one then automatically then gets a rock.
The Valentinos.
No, my one's behind me now. The bands.
I was like, stop trying to bring those up.
No, I'm not.
I'm trying to make it work, Coco.
Yeah, make such a thing. Like,
Thanks.
Yeah, I like him.
Rock.
I like him.
What else have we got? Oh, shout outs. So shout out of the week obviously is our second favourite segment where we get to champion other amazing creatives, individuals, platform businesses, and such. So Joelah, who whoever you picked for this week?
Yeah, I've chosen to go with Amanda Seales. She is a comedian, actor, creator. She's got a brand. Yeah, she's also in Insecure. She plays Tiffany, but her character, Tiffany in Insecure, is actually no way a reflection of who she actually is. She's got a brand called Smart, Funny and Black, which encapsulates everything that Black people are. We're smart and funny too.
Blackity black.
Yeah, she is unapologetically Blackity black, and I absolutely love it. She really inspires me. She does so many things. She speaks from the heart. She's super educated. So I always look forward to her IG story gems, which is where she just drops some gems, and whatever's going on in the world, she's gonna tell her opinion. And I also love that she doesn't feel that she always needs to be wearing a whole face of makeup and have her hair done, because most of the time she doesn't. And I respect that. So yeah,
it's important to see that as well, like especially like young girls growing up and all you see is people just sort of filtered and all done up. Like you need to see the real, because half the time people do not look like that.
Listen,
exactly.
Yeah.
And speaking of the real, she was on that show, The Real,
not anymore.
That's what I was just about to say. Yeah, she brought greatness to that show. I really like it because a lot of the topics were quite tame, and I don't feel like respect to the other hosts, but I don't feel like they were coming with the education that Amanda was coming with.
Yeah.
But she chose not to renew her contract because she just felt that it wasn't an appropriate platform for her to really voice the things that she really wanted to talk about in the way she wanted to talk about it. And again, I really respect her for doing that and for being so open and honest about it and not scared about the potential backlash and being blackballed by the industry. She just does her thing.
But of course, when people heard about the news, they assumed, oh, she's had a falling out with the other girls. Like they immediately started conjuring up this story that was just obviously trying to make it really juicy to, oh, she's had a problem or she's black and difficult or what. No, not that. Sis is wanting to get another bit of a bag. Yeah. Like, that's it.
Yeah. And I did watch an interview of her talking about that, and she was so respectful about those other girls. Really nice about them. She said nice things about all of them, and I didn't get the impression that it had to do with the other girls at all, actually.
So I've written down 2 people that I know and then 1 person I don't know. I'll go through them quickly. The 2 people I know, my very good friend Martin Awoma. He is a photographer. He's just finished his master's, and I'd say he's a journalist too. He's probably the smartest person that I have ever met in my entire life, to the point I thought I was quite smart, but every time I see him I'm like, wow, I really know nothing about anything. He's been doing bits in his town of Derby. He was on the radio. He spoke at their Black Lives Matter protests. And he has just always been authentically great and amazing and sticking up for people who need it. And yeah, he's just great. Could not shout about him enough. Another person, I think you might know him, Coco, is Akil.
Yeah, I know Akil.
Because it's Pride Month, I just wanted to shout him out as well because he's doing everything with his company Queerbrook, or the movement. I don't know how to really capitalize it, but with Queerbrook, and I think that's amazing. He's having these conversations with people and he's just putting this positivity out in the world, which is great.
It's infectious.
And then it is infectious, and he's just so himself as well, and he's so great, and he's just like working his 9-5, but also doing his thing on the side, which I appreciate. Yeah, love to see it. And then someone who just popped into my head, just a UK, is Diane Abbott.
Oh,
she gets such negative press that I just feel like any opportunity just to say some positive things. So she had her anniversary recently. I believe, don't quote me, but I believe it was 30 years.
Yeah, the video she did when she kind of
30
went
years.
back and showed her time. Yeah, it was you can see all that stuff, to be honest with you.
She, and a lot of the narratives that are being said now about anti-racism, she's been saying for time, and she's been literally holding her ground and just sticking up for herself and what is right for the longest time. And I think she gets such bad press and such bad media attention that people actually don't focus on the good work that she has done in her community, for this country, and consistently. So whoop whoop, Diane Abbott.
Me, I've chosen a platform on Instagram called Hire Black Creatives, and they are super, super dope. I came across them earlier on this week, and I just kind of gave them a look over. And basically what they do is they're a platform that gives deserving exposure to Black creatives. So that's from videographers, stylists, yes, there they are, gaffers, set designers, writers, all like a huge breadth of Black creators. It basically just gives brand basically no excuse not to hire us. So basically what it fundamentally does, it's a website, said hireblackcreatives.co, and from there you can go through, and I said if you are a producer or a brand and you want to cast or work with certain people, they have everyone there. And I happen to also be on the list just to make that a little added incentive. But I think it's just a really dope platform, and I fully support them. So give them a follow, submit as well if you're any of those things I listed and more. And yeah, they'll feature you on their website and hopefully get some work.
Oh, lovely. Thank you so much, ladies, for your input and our shout outs. These people are all very amazing. Jess, thank you so much for joining us on this week's episode. You've been such a pleasure, such a great addition.
Come back for sure. If you're on. Hopefully, like when all this change has fully been implemented and we're all flourishing, and then we can kind of touch back in and be like, mad old times, but look how we're doing now.
Remember when we were skeptical that change was going to happen? Look at it now. That'll be us. Yeah. We hope. But thank you so much. It's been really, really great talking to you both.
Thank you for taking time out to speak with us, and fun times ahead.
Yes. And thank you guys for listening or watching at home or wherever you are. Thank you so much for sticking with us. This is the 5th episode of So Intent Podcast, and we're definitely going to be back for some more. Jess, how can they follow you if they want to follow you?
Yeah, I suppose Instagram is the most accessible. It's just Jessie Law, quite easy. Jessie with a Y. You'll find me and all that.
Right.
Go stalk her. Go follow her.
Yeah, go stalk her like how I did when I heard her.
Yeah, I'll stalk you next. You're next.
I'm Joelah Noble, Joelah, Noble, Noble. And Coco Mell is Coco, CO_Mell, MELL. So follow up the team, and also, of course, follow up the So Intent Podcast.
Duh. Cool people. See you next week in a bit.
Bye, guys. Peace.